Hello, everybody. So I'm here today. So I decided to make a tier list. This is gonna mostly just because I was gonna do a unit evaluation video for each character, but since DE is coming out sometime next year, and with how slow I am with making longer form projects, I thought a lot of the information would be outdated. So I thought I'd make a tier list about my personal stances on units in general in AS. This is only for AS rebuild. With DE coming out, a lot can change with balancing support. There's going to be more support rewards, I think, is something they confirmed. So this is what we got so far. And before we start with the main tier list, I wanted to explain these guys. So the dancers are obvious. They're dancers. Dancers are usually objectively the best unit in each Fire Emblem game. That's no different here. So there's no point in evaluating them. I will say this: I think AS is one of the few times where I can say dancers aren't as good, but they're still they are really necessary for some higher end strats. Especially if you're speedrunning this game, you definitely want these two. As for these three, they're temporary units. Your Jagan, I guess bot is also Jagan in some sense, and not Jagan. These three are intentionally made really strong, but because they're gonna leave you later in the game. That's just a basic evaluation I got on them. So now we can start with the actual tier list. Let's start with the actual main lord of the game, Jaka. Easily top 10 unit. It's no doubt he's arguably top 5. There's some arguments that he's top 6. He's in the top 5 argument. There's everything. He can do basically anything, and his only real weakness is how bad his early game is. Sentinel Jaka's caps are way super high, and with aptitude thanks to bots, A support, which you will nearly always do because you're always going to on-caller route. It's just there's no weakness to Jaka. His only, like I said, outside of his bad early game, but even then, once you get past that, he is one of your best tanks. He's one of your best boss killers. He has probably one of the best PRF weapons with the name I'm forgetting, the Ulpis. I'm just going to call it Ulpis because I don't know how to pronounce it. With the Ulpis, straight out just being really fucking good. He's in a Lance class. He mostly uses Lances, which in AS are really good. He does suffer a bit early game because of how many users there are. But even then, it doesn't really matter. His skill growth is really high, and he actually gets high crit rates by the end of the game. So, there's no weakness to Jaka outside of the fact he's an infantry unit, but infantry doesn't matter too much in this game, especially when we talk about the best unit in the game when we get to her. Now, on the completely opposite of the spectrum, Thea. Yeah, no, she's bottom 5. I think this is universally agreed on. Thea is probably arguably the worst unit in this game. Everything that AS wants, she doesn't have. 1-2 range, she has a low magic cap, so she can't even use magic swords, even if you weird sage her. Good bulk, she doesn't have that at all. She is a decent dodge tank, but her supports are really bad. Outside of Coulter support and Aubrey support, she has nothing she gains out of anything. And even then with her Coulter support, the most optimal strat is actually just to do it and then kill her so Coulter can support somebody else. Thea has nothing going for her, but she has one niche that is noticeable, as she is really necessary for early game. Her Luna Sword, Moonblade, I call it the Luna Sword, but Moonblade has Luna, which can come up for certain bosses like the cons in Chapter 3. But even then, the fact that she only provides for a few early game maps, and then the most optimal way to do her is just to finish her support with her brother and then just send her the fuck away. Just put her on the bench, nothing more, nothing else. And speaking of her brother, Coulter. High tier. I think with Coulter, there's a lot of debate because a lot of people say he's just the worst Natalie, he's the worst Aubrey. The thing is with that argument is you still want Coulter. Coulter has everything he wants and you want. He has obviously 1-2 range, which is really strong in his game, even if knives are on the weaker side of 1-2 range. But his biggest boon is he's your best thief for a while until you get Aubrey. Jesse just doesn't cut up the slack to what he does. And I think honestly, there's no reason not to use Coulter. Now, he is a bit frail, but thieves in this game do have a decent dodge chance, and you just got to be careful around certain lance users, and that's really about it. So nothing I can say bad, nothing I can say good, but he is, well, I can say a lot good. I'm just doing a skim down, but he is really good. If I do have one noticeable weakness, his supports are kind of on the weaker side. Outside of his support with Thea and Aubrey, again, he kind of has no supports he really wants to do outside of like Fred's support, but that's mostly just a beneficial for Fred, not Coulter. Lily Net, easily top 10. I see some people arguing she's not, but I personally think she is. First of all, she's your first real true staff bot in the game. She has amazing availability. Well, yes, her 50% magic growth can be a bit iffy. If you're really unlucky, you can get fucked over by it. But I think she's just universally good. A lot of your like massive refuse skips she can do. She has no real weakness outside of maybe her con is a little too low to be using magic, which you really don't want Lily in combat like at all. So her con issue never should come up unless like, especially in late game, like in late game it will come up because of how many enemies will try to target her. Which comes to another benefit of her. She's really dodgy. She has a high luck stat. You put her on her terrain, she's not going to get hit unless you get really unlucky. Everything Lily wants, everything you want in a good staff bot, Lily could provide. If another weakness, I guess, is a weakness, her supports are kind of eh. Her support with Christina and Thea are really bad. And then on the opposite spectrum, her Garm support is good, but Garm wants supports with other units. Her support with Theo is decent, but like at the same time, you shouldn't really be using Lily for offensive capabilities. But even then, Lily does what she needs to do, and she does it well. And honestly, she's probably one of the best units in the game. Period. Sham is weird. I'm gonna say he's mid tier. Sham's biggest issue is his growths are pretty middling. Let me get him on top of my head. I know he has a pretty low luck growth, which makes him prone to crit. Sham growth. And sorry, I'm just like this is what you do get for not having the wiki pulled up. He has a low luck growth, I know that much, so he's prone to getting crit. Sorry. Alright, there we go. Yeah, with the low luck growth of 10%, 45% speed isn't bad growth, but it can get you fucked over. And then he has the Lily issue where you're kind of on coin flips if he levels magic or not. And to be honest, he kind of doesn't have any real. His promo is good, but at the same time, there's better sages you can get. If I do have one benefit for Sham, his supports are probably some of the best supports in the game. He enables Runa with early magic. He enables Shay with early magic and gives her +4 magic, which is really strong. He could get Sword Fair if you keep him until late game to do Madeline support. Honestly, he has a lot going for him. It's just a lot is also going against him. And honestly, you get better magical users as the game goes on, so But he's still probably going to be what you were going to be using for a lot of the game till you get those better magical users. And he still provides. And honestly, you can bring Shaman to a late game team and he will work. Mostly because Glacius is that strong. Now, on another mid-tier, Barrett. Easily, her biggest issue is just her bulk. Honestly, I feel like if her bulk wasn't as low as it was, she would be higher. She is really good with crits. She has the Lone Wolf with Sam, which is only on this version of the game. Sorry about that. But even with Sam support, that is like you throwing away one of the best support units just for Lone Wolf. Which, don't get me wrong, Lone Wolf is strong, but it's still an RNG% chance for you to get the extra damage. And honestly, that is also another issue. She only wants 2 supports. She wants Sam, she wants Bjarki. Any other support is just kind of doing like filling. Death Blow is really good again with crit stuff, but like, she would rather have a better skill than Deathblow. But as the crit queen of Andaron, she does well. She is. I do want to clear this up though. If you do use her, never make her a Yaller. Make she's probably. It's either her or I think she is objectively the worst Jarl if I'm thinking like on all the choices on top of my head. So just don't make her a Jarl. That's all I can add. But outside of that, yeah. Now on to her cousin Bjarki. Another contender, but I think he is a high tier. I think his only real weakness is speed, but like his bulk some way makes up for it. He's like one of your best physical tanks in the game behind somebody, but we'll get to her when we get to her. He has everything he wants in this game. Like I said, if he has better speed growth, he would probably be a top 10 unit and arguments for it. But he has one noticeable weakness. Again, it's his supports. He has notoriously the worst support in the game with Victoria. And yeah, Barrett's support is good, but again, it only benefits Barrett. And they don't really get much out of double Ifis affinity. Obviously, I don't know how affinity calcs work on top of my head, but I'm pretty sure they just don't do well together. But even then, Bjarki does what he needs to do, and what he does is really necessary for some maps in this game. Like the map that Rolfnir and Sigrid join, you want his fat ass to sit on like one of the near one of the towns, and he will just work for you. Now, onto a controversial pick, Runa is a bottom tier unit. Runa has a lot going for her, and it just does not seem to be enough. She is a support hog. She eats up supports from a lot of characters. Because either you want her to have magic access, so you're going to have to chalk up Varg, or you're going to have to chalk up Sham. Sham is early game stuff, but even then, you still probably want Sham supporting somebody else. He could give Shay with B support magic, and then he could do an A support with somebody else who's objectively better for him. Runa, if you had to do Sham support, you had to get them to be support for Runa to use anima magic. And then Sham could still do another A support with somebody else, but he always wants to do his support with Shay because it's the super fast support and the benefits are always high. So even if, you can do Runa Shay support with Sham, but even then, you're throwing a lot away for that. And then Runa support with Varg is way too late in the game for it to be good. Yes, Runa could probably start using Void Flare by end game, but like even then, she's probably not your best Void Flare user. It's probably Amelia or Varg himself. She doesn't provide much, and even in the early game, she does really well in Chapter 3 because of the Hunter Bow. But even then, being good on one map, it's just That's something Victoria does. Victoria's really good on that map, but we all know how good Victoria is. And I think she kind of suffers from how bad Archer is in this game. Archers are 2 range locked. Bows are 2 range locked, obviously, as everybody should know. Only one bow user, like dedicated bow user, is good in this game. Every other one suffers from something. Runa is no different. And also her personal skill Solitary is good. It does not really feel like Runa. It just kind of feels like it's tacked onto Runa. There's not much else I can't say. And even then, Runa's growths, I'm pretty sure, aren't the highest. So she is prone to get strength and magic screwed. She really wants Weird Sage if you accidentally get a strength less Runa, which kind of cucks you out of using Weird Sage on better units. I guess if I could give Runa one benefit, she's adorable. That's it. And then, back on the polar opposite, Fred. Worry not, my plebeians. I am a top 5 unit. Fred is really fucking good in this game. 40% growth all across the board with the 80% magic growth. 80% magic. 80% health growth. He does everything. If something you want done, Fred can probably do it. His only real weakness is maybe since he is 40% on all growths, you can just get unlucky. But nothing the stat boosters can fix. His promotion gains are really good. Gladius, even if you can't get it early game, because it's not entirely guaranteed, Gladius can make Fred work late game. And Red is probably your best Sam support with Battle Vet being as good as it is. And that's how you do enable some early game Alexander kills is with Battle Vet Red. Honestly, there's just nothing Fred has that's a weakness towards him. Outside of, like, Perfectionist can screw him over here and there with HP growth. But Fred's dodge is so naturally high, just rarely comes up. And even if he does get hit, he's a really bulky unit. So he could take a few hits and it just won't matter to him. It also helps that he's in Lances, which, again, is probably one of the best classes to be in. And he joins with your first, with the earliest Lance Reaver, that Axe. I think it's called Axe Reaver. He joins with the Lance that reverses weapon triangle, and it's really fucking good on him. Now to an overrated unit, Estelle. Mid tier. I don't think Estelle is bad, as some people will say, but I also don't think she is. I know somebody, and he'll probably see this video, thinks Estelle is the top 3 unit. Estelle is not that good. She is really decent on player phase, but outside of that, she does not really provide much on else. Even with promotions, she's not really the best staff user. Again, see Lily. We'll get to Harry and that later. Estelle is just okay. Don't get me wrong, though. Her supports are kind of on the weaker side. She gets Tome of Fair from Albert, but Albert's really, really wanting to do support with one other person, and that's it. She gets Adept from Dawn, but and that's but she does get Elmer Dazzle, and if you do use Elmer, that is a really good skill for him to have. It's just the issue is Estelle's support take way too long. I'm pretty sure her Dawn support I think is on fast support, but every other support takes 3 or more maps, and by the time you get him, it's kind of just too late for it to even matter. Speaking of another overrated unit, Garum. He's a high tier. I think he's probably your highest high tier. I think he's a tad overrated. His again, it comes down to his speed growth. His speed growth can get him fucked over. But he does have one big benefit to him though. He does have does have Outrider glitch, but let's not take glitches into consideration, or else we'd be having to talk about Secret Shop. Garum has access to the Ash Cleaver. He is objectively the best user of it. But even then, Ash Cleaver is kind of just okay in this game. And Garum really rather have like a Tomahawk, hand axe for most of enemy phases. He is a decent boss killer, but like you have objectively better boss killers who are safer and can just do more. He is weak to. He takes effective damage from horse slaying and armor effective weapons. His res growth is kind of mid. I'd say it's pretty bad. I'm not mid. His speed growth is mid, which can get him prone to not being able to double late game, which is a really big hindrance, which will come towards his human cousin, and we'll talk about her later. And his res growth really bites him in the ass, especially on the final map, where a lot of the enemies are using magical focused weapons. Now, with all of those negatives, why is he still a high tier? He fucking hits. With Ash Cleaver, he could probably just he could one-shot any enemy you want him to one-shot. With Longbow, which he joins with, he has probably one of the best starting inventories for an early game unit just because of the Longbow. He's probably your best Longbow user, too, outside of maybe Kurt. And he has some really fucking good supports, too. He has I don't remember all of them on top of my head because I really don't use Garum that much. But he does give Lily more con. He could get good bet from Buggy if you're for some reason having hit issues on him. Honestly, it's just everything is going good for him. It's just his downsides are really big downsides. Now, Natalie. This is probably this is more definitely on a personal side for me. But I think Natalie's a top 10 unit. She is barely top 10, but she is a top 10. She has no risk when it comes to training her. She is just perfect. You could get her to level 10 on her join map with you could probably risk it with the armor with the 2 armor axe knights, the 2 armor knights with axes, because of how high her void is. But if you really, really want to sweat and waste time of your life, you could break the weapon on the boss and another armor knight and just have Natalie beat the shit out of them, and then she could hit level 10 on her joining map. and then she could start catching up on the next chapter. If you don't want to do that because you're a sane person, she could still catch up. She could hit level 10 on the next chapter and then start using Scalies above as her training map, which is not the best training map to be on because of how hard it is, but it is something she can do. And then once you do get her to late game, like her late, tier 3 class, she has some of the best options in the game. Ranger's really good. Hero's really good. Assassin is really good. Rogue and Swordmaster are kind of mid, but that's only because Rogue's caps are bad and just Swordmaster in general is bad in this game. But Natalie just has everything going for her, with little to no downsides that comes with being a trainee. And even if you don't want to train her, sending her away, you still get a really good late game joiner. So Natalie just has everything. Will bring this up though. She is probably your best Help Blazer user. Just Cyrus is decent, but I also think he with how wanky his fucking recruitment is to begin with, you probably won't even get him. So Natalie is probably your best Help Blazer user, and she could get Swordfarer. She could give Jesse his, I guess, cure his addiction. I don't know how that happens. Her supports are really good. Christina Landsbreaker is really strong. And a lot of the supports she wants aren't units who have high traffic support, so she's taking supports off of units who aren't trying to support other units. So she does everything you want a good unit to do. Man, I am not ready to deal with this one. Zacharias is a high tier. Why he isn't a top 10, we could talk about this now. He has way too much opportunity cost. Giving up Aptitude and Dawn Color don't get me wrong, Zach is a really fucking strong unit. He does a lot, but giving up what you had to go to get him, it just a lot of times isn't worth the risk. The Aptitude from Jaka kind of makes Jaka a little more shaky in the late game. And then Dawn Color is one of the, I want to say the best Regalia, but it is definitely up there in discussion with some of the strongest Regalias in the game. And Zacharias gets upset if you take it. And his PRF weapon, the Hopspire, it does not make up for it, mostly because it's exclusively stuck on him. And it's not infinite use like the Dawn Collar, so you can accidentally break it, and then you're just down a Regalia. He does have one thing going for him. If you do Shaker Shop glitch, which again, I'm not going to take that truly into a unit evaluation, he can give you a lot of Lumina stats, which have pretty pennies on them. So you can sell them for like the break the economy, but even then, But even with all this down talk, he's a really strong unit. He can and will most likely just destroy anything that goes in his way. Slayer is a pretty strong skill, actually, with how, like, it doesn't come up often, but when it does, it is really strong. His supports are kind of on the weaker side, I guess. The only real support he kind of has that doesn't have high traffic is Aerial. Every other support, everybody else is trying to do something else, and he's kind of just like, which I guess is accurate for being a lonely monk. But Zacharias is still good. He's bulky. He has staff access. He is objectively one of the best staff users if it didn't cost you a DC. I know a certain French man is going to be upset when I say this. Theo is good mid-tier. His only real weakness is just availability. He's just straight up not usable in 3 maps. And even then, even when you do have him, what does he do that others can't? I guess he can use the Rose Thorn, but like he's not even the best Rose Thorn user. He's just the most quick. He's just the quickest to use it. He can use the Alistair. Is that the fucking name? He can use the Alistair, but even then, that joins. You get that way too late for that to even matter. He's probably your best Dire Thunder user, but that's also just like saying I'm the best shit taker. It's like, yeah, okay, but who cares? Theo does have, I guess, he has determination and impale if you want to do funny stuff. He just doesn't have a lot going for him. His growths are okay at best. And he joins on an okay map to be joining on. He's just kind of carried by his bases, to be honest. And you don't really want to use Theo unless you're a real big Theo diehard. Speaking of another diehard, Amelia. Amelia's weird. I'm going to say this. Nah, we could put her in high tier. I think she has enough going for her to be in high tier. Only real weakness that I can think of is her supports are just kind of okay. They're not the worst, but they're not the best. Her speed growth can be shaky, but honestly, she's probably your best Nas tank outside of Helga, but Helga's not really something you want to Nas tank with, but she does what she needs to do. She's a thick bitch who sits on places and sucks them in dry. And that's all you really need her to do, and that's all you want her to do. And that's what she does well. If I do have one thing, though, I guess her promotion... I know I know certain somebody's going to see this. Her promotion at not having staff access can fuck over some things. But that's only if you're in a draft race setting. It's really weird that they made her a crit unit, like make a fat tank crit unit. But But she's good. Like I said, she does what she needs to do. She's probably your best Void Flare user outside of Varg, but that's a discussion we can have when we get to Varg. Buggy. 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 Steel. Buggy. Lockpick. Buggy. Chihira. She is... I guess she would be another high tier. Chihira doesn't really have any opportunity cost when it comes to using her. She has a free life on her. She dies, she comes back later. With no real penalty. You don't even need a trainer. You could just use her for the maps you need to use her on and then just send her away to get a cool sword. And if you do want to use her, she still gives you really good benefits. Her supports aren't that bad. She has a real fast support with Ash for some reason, which only does give her a res boost, but that res boost is still really good when you're going into the late game, especially with how magically heavy it is. She gives you a free Eternal Seal. She does have Jaka support, which is okay, but she's probably your worst Jaka merit because she's never really by Jaka. She's off doing God fuck knows what. But she's decent. Flyer utility. Kurt. Definitely better than these fuckers. Gale Shot, Kanto Plus. I don't know what else you want me to say. I guess if I have to knock him, I guess his supports are just okay. But even then, like, you're not... He's one of your best... He's one of the best units in the game. He's the only unit who can make me and Bowlock work. Oh my god, Victoria. We got a bottom tier on us. Victoria is a weird case. Because she has a lot that seem strong that just aren't strong in the case of Andaron. She's one range lock for most of it till you do the weird sage and start doing Beam Vicky. But Beam Vicky requires you to be fucking lucky with her strength levels. And even then, Beam Vicky isn't all that because Beam Victoria is not even your best magical sword user. I guess she's good for destroying the Steel Knights and Prison Escape, but outside of that, it kind of just feels like she's wasting a lot of your weapons, your weapon durability on just kind of nothing, which Albert and Isabel can destroy or do way better without costing as much as it does. Her supports are bad. Like, I think her only real good support is Jaka and Ariel, but every other support is just kind of mid at best. She doesn't even make good use out of Lancebreaker, which is fucking weird to say with the sword lock unit. Just because it is locked behind a Fred support. She just has nothing going for her outside of the fact hyperactive is still a really strong skill, and it does actually make Victoria one of your best Morty killers in the late game. Oh, fuck. Speaking of Mortimer, I fucking forgot Mortimer. She is one of your best Mortimer killers in the late game, so that's that. But outside of that, she kind of does have nothing else going for her. Haley. She's not a bottom tier. She has access to Gale Shot, which I think does enough to make her not bottom tier, but if she didn't, she would be really fucking bad. She's a 2 range lock. She's in a 2 range locks class. She's a pre-promote too, and a part of the game where you can still have a lot of time training up actual not unpromoted units. She has nothing really going for her. Her father fucking outclasses her and everything you need from a unit. I guess if you're doing a draft race, she's probably your best choice, and she does give you master build late game, but that's a really slow support. And at that point, you rather just have to support somebody else who's faster, gives a more immediate benefit. Elmo, he's a weird. There's somebody else who I think is worse than Elmo on an objective level. Okay, let me check something real quick before I actually decide on this. Yeah, no. Elmo's bottom 5, but he's not bad per se. I'll just say more so on the fact that, like, it's just trainees in this game kind of have it rough. Unless your name is Natalie, you kind of join on a chapter that's really advantageous to, farm XP on. Even with Christina, who can get to level 10 pretty consistently on her map, still requires a lot of RNG-based stuff that you can't just have set up. Elmo just kind of, and even when you get Elmo to his tier 3, it's just an okay payoff at best. His only real good classes are Druid and War Monk. I don't know why I was about to call him War Master. This isn't Three Houses, little bro. He just is okay. He is, funny enough, the fact he has 50-50 on strength and magic does mean he can do some funny stuff with being a magic unit who can go into physical and some higher res maps, but his speed growth kind of holds that back by a lot. And his supports are just okay. Like, Estelle's support is really good, but every other support, they just want to be doing something else. Speaking of, now, again, on another opposite part of the spectrum, Shay does everything. Well, she's probably your best utility unit, period. She's probably your best Archangale user, too. Sham's Flintlocks sucks to suck bozo. She has really good supports if you're not wanting just to do Sham support. But you probably want to do Sham support even just for the Archangale. But she can still A support with another unit. She gets Dazzle and the rebuild, which is really good. She has she gets Bowbreaker from, I think it's Runa support, which helps a lot with survivability. She does a lot. Her only real weakness is she's kind of frail, but like she's a flyer. You should not be putting her in positions where she's gonna get killed. Staff access when she promotes makes her one of your best stat utilities when you get to her. Honestly, there's just name something in the game that you want done. Shay could probably do it. Nah. I feel like Christina just suffers a lot from the fact that she only has one real promotion line, which is Cav into Paladin or Soldier into Paladin. She always ends up in Paladin. Paladin's still a good class, but even then, the fact that you're training up a unit which don't get me wrong, once you do get her to that point, it's really strong. But you have other Cav units who join just immediately strong. So there's no real incentive to train up Christina. She does have a decent Sam support, which gives her discipline. But like, if you really want to use the Rose Thorn, just do the Thea support and then then I guess you can still do the B support to get discipline. There's just no real incentive to use Christina. Outside of Lance Breaker on Natalie, if you're trying to do that, but still, there's just I can't make it clear enough. There's just no real reason to use her. Harriet, high tier. We're in high tier though. I think she's definitely better than Amelia, worse than Bjarki. Power Staff, that's her biggest claim to fame. She has that +1 range does come up a lot because there's some things she can do that Lily can't do. It's just the fact she's a footlock unit compared to these two staffers just kind of holds her back. And she kind of joins on a weird map, which makes her a bit hard to train. But even then, she gives you a free hammer staff once you recruit her, so she has a lot going for her. And then her supports, give or take, they're okay. She's actually one of the only units who gives Albert a benefit for doing a support. But there's no real reason to do that support either. So, but if both of your best staff bots died, she's here. She's here. She helps. Ariel. I don't want to say she's bottom tier, but I also can't think of a reason not to put her in bottom tier. Nah, well, we could put mid tier. She's fine. Her speed. Nah, thinking about it, her speed cap fucks her over a lot. She is a boss killer in a game filled with good boss killers. She's not even the best Ash Cleaver unit. Her supports are kind of just bad, like overall, outside of like 2 supports. But like, if you're going to the dedication to doing Vicky and area support, more power to you. But that's really, you're just wasted 2 unit slots and a unit who's prone to fucking dying and a unit who's prone to getting doubled, especially in late game scenarios. There's just no real reason to bring her. I guess being axe locked is not the worst thing. Axes are pretty decent in this game. But, man. Rod. Rod, I would say mid tier. I think his biggest issue is just the recruitment. You lose out on a good level. You lose out on a level if you recruit him, but I guess that doesn't matter too much with how much XP this game gives you. He does have one weird. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but since he goes into bod hero, he does not have the XP penalty from promoting. So it is pretty easy to catch him up. You could just promote him the second you can get him. But it's just the big issue with Rod is just recruitment. If his recruitment was easier, or it wasn't, you were losing something to recruit him, he would probably be higher on the tier list. He'd probably still be a mid tier, but he'd probably be higher on the mid tier side of everything. I don't think I need to explain this one. But for the people in the back, Isabel does everything. She could probably just 1v20 a map without difficulty. She has one of the best personal skills with Resolve. She has one of the best supports with Albert, which gives her knee heal, which makes her one of your best boss killers. She's probably your best Mortimer killer if you're objectively going DC route. She's probably your best bulwark user. She skips the entirety of chapter 30, or 29. I think it's 30. She skips the entirety of the Galahad chapter just so she could do a 1v1. She has a tier 3 promotion, which is really strong. Even if you don't want to do the tier 3 promotion, she gives you another really strong unit just doing that fight. I could name a lot of things she can do. And her only real weakness is she's armor weak, but that doesn't come up that often because this game has little to no armor effective weapons. She does everything. Her only real weakness, I guess, is she can't be everywhere at once. And I guess the fact that she's footlock, which doesn't come up that often. She is just the best unit in the game. She does everything with no real downside. Jessie. Bottom tier. I think Jessie's weird on the fact that I guess if you really need another thief, he's there, but like Brad does, as fun as a gimmick as it is, can fuck you over if you just don't have it in inventory or you just don't get lucky where he's proccing Scavenger, which can happen and has happened to me a few times when I'm in my playthroughs. And he really wants a support that clears up that Scavenger thing, or he really wants to hurry up and do Buggy support, where he gives Buggy Scavenger, but it's just he does nothing really. He's really held up by the fact he has Thief utility. He has the Lucky Dagger, which is really strong, and I guess he's a Hellblaze user if for some reason you need a Hellblaze user. But you have to go through the difficulty of actually turning him up to S-rank swords where he can use the Hellblazer. Also, his growths are just really fucking weird. They're just kind of middling in everything, and there's just no real reason to use him. Without really, you're going to only really use him if you want to do him and Natalie support. I keep on trying to call her. Jessie is not a femboy. Crixus. I'll just put Crixus in this tier. He's a secret unit, but even if we're doing, which it makes it really hard to unit evaluate him. Even then, I guess he has life and death in longbow, which is a good niche because of how strong longbows are in this game. But no real incentive to talking about it. I have to count to make sure I'm not fucking tripping. Albert. Top end. Let's see here. I'll make this in the proper order when we get to it. What do you want me to say? He's your knee heal user until you get him. He goes down. Gives Isabel knee heal. He's one of the best. He's probably the best Dawn Caller user. Isabel probably gets some strong competition, but he really is good with Dawn Caller. He brings the Nightbringer onto the table, which really helps with prison escape, and it's still a really strong weapon. Even if, like, there's no real incentive to use it for some maps. Just shit. If you just play AS, if you need a reason why Albert is a top 10 unit, he's just really good. I guess his only weakness is he's tied to a 1 unit for a support, but that doesn't hold Isabel back. It doesn't hold him back. Dawn. She's my wife, so objectively I got to put her in top 10, but unobjectively, she's not a bottom tier, but she's low mid tier. Her biggest issue is XP. She just does not gain a good amount of XP. And for some fucking reason, she is really prone to getting unlucky and getting crit. She can get crit on her own join map before you even have a time to, remove her. She can fucking die on her join time. On the same turn she joins, she can die. And it has happened. There's video evidence of it. But she is probably your best Starfall user into the late game because Ilonda passes. But even then, Starfall is just okay. An okay regalia. There's just better. It's just, I guess it's not the worst marriage thing, but even then, what do you want Dawn for that other units can't provide? You want a DC user, you got these two. Starfall is just okay. I guess she is a good light magic user, but in the game where light magic is as weak as it is, you still have Estelle, which is just a better unit. She joins earlier. I can't believe I'm saying Estelle is better than something. Her personal skill renewal is decent, but like Dawn's kind of Lodestar class kind of doesn't give her the right amount of bulk for renewal to be useful. It's just Dawn is in a weird place where I just don't think she is an argument for a bottom tier, but she has enough benefits where you can use her without it feeling like she's like a shackle onto your leg. Caroline 445. Honestly, she's a high tier. She could be mid tier due to how her recruitment is. But let's just say you do recruit her early enough where she's decent. She does what she needs to do. She's a good pre-promote. She has 1-2 range access with all the classes in the game. Chivalry is an okay skill. It's a tad overrated in my opinion, but it does come up with a. It does come up a bit to some degree. Sorry, I'm just reorganizing where I want these units to be. It does come up with some damage calcs. Her only real weakness is I guess her supports are kind of on the weaker side. She's one of Jaka's better romance partners, which sounds weird to say considering she jumped on that pylon before it became a short spear. But outside of Jaka, she has no real good supports. I guess like you could give Chivalry to Victoria or Aisha, but those units are kind of known for like one-shotting without Chivalry stuff, and Chivalry just kind of just feels like you're doing padding just to make sure the one-shot happens. I guess, but she's good. She's also she's probably your best Claymore user if you're lucky enough to get Claymore. The only issue is double effectiveness is weird, and because of how low her luck growth is. But that doesn't come up. But you could probably fix that. Aisha and Barrett. Which one is it better? One has better caps and slightly better growth in the areas that matter, but one also is better with crit. I would say Aisha's slightly better than Barrett. Her only real issue is how low her skill growth is and how reliant on Dicer she is. But even then, Aisha's is a boss killer in a game full of boss killers. I think there's nothing I can really add or say about Aisha. She's just a mid-tier unit, which I guess fits because she's kind of mid to use. Give me a second. Alright. Sorry about that, chat. Something just came up. Sigrid. Sigrid has kind of made a bounce back, on my opinion, on her. I've seen a lot of people. I've seen a couple Ironmans for Sigrid really fucking works. She's a really decent Jarl option. I think she does have enough weaknesses where I can't confidently say she's a mid tier. I would say she's high bottom tier. She has potential to be a good mid tier. I think she's like on the cusp of being a mid tier unit, which I know sounds weird, but considering for a while a lot of people thought Sigrid was a bottom 5 unit, is a real improvement. But it also kind of just proves how bad these fuckers are. But Sigrid, sorry, just. But Sigrid kind of just Nos tanks. Miracle Nos tanking is really strong in this game for. And well, yes, brave weapons, and she can get speed screwed where her miracle gimmick can't work. Fuck it. Fuck it, we ball with baby. She does a lot. I think her only real weakness, I just don't think she has good supports. I guess she has Helga or Half Dawn support. But, sorry. Oh my fucking god. DoorDash, am I right, fellas? Alright. Ralfnir, last bottom 5 unit. Ralfnir joins at a weird time. That's his biggest issue. He joins at a time where it's just his join map is bad. You need to give him a level 10 on his join map, or he just falls off a fucking cliff. And then you need to bring him to one of the harder maps in this game. Then you need to bring him to one of the harder maps in the game to train him up to a decent level. Sorry, this is DoorDash is being weird. So you need to train him up for a decent level for on the hardest map in the game, which require. And then even then, the payoff's just not all that. Considering the like Sigrid, you have Sigrid that's better. You got the unit we're about to talk next is better. He's just not a good enough Jarl candidate just to make up for the cost it takes to train him up. The reason why he's better than these two, though, is still he's a trainee, so like his ceiling to a late game is way better than these two, and he has 1-2 range, which makes him objectively better than Thea. And then Helga, number 2. We got number uno, dos, and tres in this fucking order. Gale Force, that's all I really gotta say. Even without Gale Force, she's a strong unit, but if she didn't have Gale Force, she probably won't be top 3. But with Gale Force, she's objectively top 3. Her only real weakness is, again, I know I harp on it a lot, but she has pretty bad supports, but that doesn't fucking come up when you're all over the place in the map. She actually objectively makes she makes some early turn map finishes way more possible. Sorry, just my phone's acting up. She makes early turn maps possible, like early turn on some maps easier, just doable actually, just objectively. The only real weakness is she is kind of frail, and I'm pretty sure her con is not that good, so she does get weighed down by Nas. But who cares? Who cares if you get weighed down by Nas if you can just one round and get the fuck out of there? A Half Dawn, he's a mid tier. He's a filler unit in a game. I guess his only real weakness is I guess he could be a better Jarl candidate than some of the other Jarls, but they don't give him that chance. He kind of joins on a weird map, and that's really it. His supports are kind of his Sigrid support is good because it gives Sigrid the tome, but then you kind of have no real incentive to use off-down after that. But Halfdan does what he needs to do. He's a thick boy in a game that loves thick men. Miriam. Bottom tier. Honestly, it's just because Ashe is way better. Yes, you can't guarantee the blasting every playthrough. It's probably here. So, but the thing about Miriam and Ashe it's what they do for Tiamat Arc. Ashe makes Tiamat Arc a fucking walk in the park. Yes, you can get unlucky and Ashe dies, but that's skill issue to be honest at that point. Ashe just joins in a slightly worse class because flyer mobility is really good in this game. But she gives you a meteor tome, and that meteor tome one shots one of the bosses in the map Tindy's joins. I don't know on top of my head. I'm sorry. Which gives straight up, which straight up makes fuck, what's his name? He makes the Dragoon boss, who's probably one of the hardest bosses in the game, not including not including Mortimer. He's probably one of the hardest, and she just one shots him. She makes that map a bitch. With all the green wisp, which yes, green wisp can steal your XP, but you're at the point in the game where losing some XP shouldn't hold you back a lot. Miriam doesn't bring anything in return. She's an okay flyer unit with Luna and Pierce. And I guess if you're lucky with her growth, she can cap some stats, but just Jaheira's better. Jaheira has better availability. Ashe is better. She just makes an entire arc walk in the cakewalk. Walk. You know what I said. And also, Ashe has better support. She gives Axe Faith to Zacharias, which, yes, is really late in the game when you get that support, but still. Axe Faith Zach will probably carry you in the late game if you do it. Tendaris. What a weird fucking fella. High mid tier. He's probably the best mid tier here. Not much I can add to about Tendy. His biggest weakness is just he is fucking slow. 25 cap speed is atrocious in this game. At least he is bulky enough where you don't give a fuck. He has flyer mobility, which is okay, I guess. He has capped con, which kind of actually bites him in the ass in some scenarios because no real units can rescue him outside of maybe, I think, Buggy can. But that's about it. Fucking Captain Deadbeat himself. Another high tier. Let's put him next to his great-great-granddaughter, whatever the fuck the family thing is. I don't know. If you know ASLR, good for you. Varg is strong. That's his entire evaluation. He's surprisingly really strong. I'm pretty sure he can use the Void Flare at join, so he could just jump and go and start using it. His supports are really good. He gets Runa Dark Magic. He gets Amelia Tome Fair. He gets Anglos gives him a special tome. Gives a cracked Nas tome. Varg also gives Helga Void Shield, but you're only really doing that support for the support affinities. Varg just does Varg stuff. Might be a bottom 5 father, but he is definitely not a bottom 5 unit. That was an awful joke. I will pretend I'm funny. See, before I do this, unit counting, am I right, fellas? Darius, top 10. Summoner. That's about it. Okay, I'm joking. So what makes... Yeah, he's a summoner, but not all the time summoners are good. So what makes him an exception to the rule? He summons Amon. Amon is a really fucking good summon. Now, Amon ruins the story, but he does not ruin the... Okay, that's enough jabs at the story. He does a lot. He does everything you want him to do. I guess if I have to give him a weakness, he kind of joins a little late. I'm pretty sure he joins in Tombs of Horror, which is one of the hardest maps in the game. And that's about it. That's really his only weakness is just his joint. Also, I guess he doesn't have any good supports because he's locked to only doing a B support with another person. But, fuck it. He balls. He gives you a black gem and a few supports, so. Capri, mid tier. She's a filler unit with an okay class with some okay access. I'm pretty sure she she does have dark magic, which it makes her stand out against the other mage knights because she's the only one who can get access to it. But outside of that, she's okay. She's adorable though, so I guess if you're going on adorability stuff, John, high tier, which is weird. I know for being a filler unit, he's a high tier unit. John just gives a lot of bonuses and support with just by being there. White Pool's a really strong skill. His supports are really strong. He gets I think he gets Cyrus Great Shield, so that can come up if you do that support. Speaking of Cyrus, let's get him out of the way. I also think Cyrus is a high tier. His only issue is just how weird his recruitment is. There is some ways to beat them, to beat Cassandra's map on turn one, but it's really RNG reliant, and that requires a lot of setup and pre-knowledge and knowing what you're doing. But these two, should I call them dills? Because I feel like that'd be weird. But well, fuck it, let's call them dills. We're already horny enough in this channel. The two dills of Andaron really strong. They're probably their only weakness is how late they join, but even then that doesn't bother. They help with Alvaro's map, which you need a lot of help in. What can I say about Madeline that is not already obvious? Madeline's biggest weakness is just she has probably one of the worst recruitment. Her and Cyrus have one of the worst recruitments, but even then, with Cyrus, at least you get a really strong unit with good supports. Madeline just gives you like Sword Fair, and I think she gets Gale Force from Aubrey, but that's really about it. Speaking of Aubrey, high tier unit. She might be a pedophile, but at least she's a good pedophile, right? Definitely better. Her only weakness, she's only available on like 3 maps, but even then, she kind of trivializes those 3 maps with these. She doesn't have lockpick for some reason, so she doesn't give you the loot and Guile has map if you decide to play that. But lethality, she has a high skill thing, so she will proc lethality a lot. She's really decent at killing Mortimer for some reason. I guess Mortimer is not immune to pedophilia, but he's immune to incest. And then the final guy on the tier list, Galahad, high tier. He is only available on 1 map, but he helps a lot on that 1 map. He also joins with Bellwork which is not the best regalia, but it is just free stats and crit immunity, which just makes it an objectively better holy symbol, an item that a lot of units just want. And he just joins with a free one. You don't have to waste a holy symbol item slot on him. That's everybody. Let me organize the top 5 so I can talk about why they're in their order. Also, just so I could drag this video out longer. Yeah, I think it's that order. Isabel does everything, like I said. Helga, one of your best combat units who can just play it really safe. Shay, one of your best utility units. She does everything you need her to do. She's probably your best rescue skipper too. Fred does everything. He's your best dodge tank, I guess, if I had to be more specific. And even if he just dodge tank and betrays him, hey, he's bulky enough to not give a shit. And he has Gladius, so he can just soul heal himself back up to Perfectionist. Aptitude, bulk, 1-2 range, on join, everything is going aces for Jaka. He does lose aptitude on with the coming out, so we'll see how that affects his placement on the tier list. But right now, I would say he's confidently a top 10, in top 5. Gale Shot, Gale Shot Canto Plus really does a lot for a motherfucker. Knee Heal, Summoner, Utility Bot, Trainee with no risk, and that's about it. So, do you agree with my tier list? Do you think I should kill myself? You should tell me in the comments. And I will be streaming Pokemon Reborn's Nuzlocke tomorrow. If you guys want to stop by and see that, argue with me about my tier list there. And then until then, you just be good people. And I'll see you next time. So yeah.